Welcome. You are listening to Readers and Writers with your hosts, James Hill and Athena Paris. I'm Amy Ravi Chandran, and today we're talking about reviews. So I'm curious, what do you guys do if someone leaves you, let's just say, a bad review, right? What is that? Do you take it with a grain of salt? Because I'm sure that is every author's hurdle and fear is like, what if someone leaves me a 1-star review? Like that would be mine. That would be my biggest fear. So in the theory that happens, what do you guys do? What are your recommendations for it?
Athena, how about you? Because I know what I would do. I hunt the guy down. No, I'm joking. I would never respond to bad or good reviews. A good review, you can say thank you. A bad review, let it go. How about you, Athena?
Yeah. Yes, that is basically what you're supposed to do. Don't let it bother you too much, because you have to measure it. Is every review that you get bad, or is it one review that's bad? How can one bad review influence you to just lose your marbles because one person didn't like you? Writing right from the beginning that not everybody's going to like your work. So if that one person who doesn't like your work happens to pick up your work and then gives you a bad review, then it's like, but I saw that coming, that was coming, obviously. So why, actually, sometimes it's like, why do they even bother to go over your work if they know they don't like it or whatever? But anyway, so it also depends. Sometimes reviews are misleading, because what are they reviewing? Because I've seen bad reviews and it had nothing to do with the content that was being reviewed. So you freak out that you're getting a 1-star review, and then when you actually check the review, but they're not even talking about your story. It's got something else to do with, the pages were not set right. It's like it had nothing to do with the story. It was some other little dilemma that they went through when they picked up your book. And it's like, it's not saying anything bad about your writing or whatever. So don't take it personally. You're not supposed to.
Different reviews. Now, there are reviews that are done by professional reviewers where you will send in your story for like a contest or something like that. And they're going to review you, not just on the contents of the story, but they're also going to review it on the layout, the book cover, the font, the story itself, did they like the type of subject that you picked? All that kind of stuff will come. But that's a professional review of the story of your book as it pertains to you being in this contest, because all of that's going to matter if you're going up against other books in the contest. Like you put your book up for a horror contest and your book is not horror, so you're going to lose out on that contest because you wrote a mystery, but yet you stuck it into a horror contest. So right there, you're going to get a bad review on the content or on the theme or something like that, because it didn't match what the contest was for. Now, if you're getting just reviews from readers, again, if someone gives you a review, I hate romances, and I'm going to review this romance, you can take that with a grain of salt because they don't like romances. So why would they like yours? I did get a bad reviews on one book, and I won't tell you which one, but I rewrote the book and changed the book because everybody had the same review. Now, I thought it was a marvelous idea to write this book in that fashion. And Athena knows what book I'm talking about. And I thought it was a marvelous idea. And I thought it was going to challenge the reader. Well, guess what I found out? Readers don't like to be challenged. So I wound up going back and I reworked the book a little bit because the reviews were, I thought the story was great, but the writer drove me crazy. So I went back and said, okay, yeah, they didn't like the way I wrote the story. And I wrote it that way on purpose. But, then you got to say, well, do I stand by my guns and say, no, that's the way I want my story read, and that's the way it's going to be? Or do I go ahead and change it and make it a little bit more palatable for people to actually enjoy the story? So, but as far as responding to a bad review, don't, because you're just yelling in the wind.
Yeah. Yeah, all you have to care about is that they spelled your name right. What they say doesn't matter, But anyway, a review is basically they examining your work. That's what a review means. So they examining your work and they're going to say, this is what I thought about the characters. This is what I thought about the plot line. This is what I think about the writer's style. Let's say somebody's got the very lyrical ways of writing, and a reviewer will say, I couldn't stand it. Everything, it sounded like there were flowers growing on each page. And somebody else will say, oh, it was so beautiful. It touched my heart. So who are you going to think is the correct one? The one person likes clinical and the other person likes lyrical. So you have to take it as it comes, and a review is just a guide for other readers to know what kind of thing they could be getting. And you can make your own decision. Oh, okay, they didn't like it, but it still sounds interesting to me. So I'll read it. And because there are books that are worldwide well known and loved, and you will find a group of people who say, oh, I hate it, I can't stand that book, I don't like this, I don't like that, oh, the plot, it drove me insane, that character, oh no, I can't stand it. So but the world likes it, and they made movies and it's fantastic, but that one person just cannot stand that thing.
Yeah, a bad review could be a good thing. Now we've been talking about bad reviews because you got a good review, you're going to be just dancing around the room. So you get a 5-star review, you're telling everybody. But it's when you say reviews, it's always the bad reviews that people have problems with. But you got to look at it too, like Athena was saying. A bad review could be a good thing because that person didn't like it, and if you're a good reviewer, you will say what you didn't like about the book. You didn't like the story, you didn't like the plot, you didn't like the character. This character was so evil, I couldn't wrap my head around him, and he turns out to be the good guy in the story, something like that. He was just a horrible person, but he was the protagonist, And so somebody reads that bad review and they might say, you know what, I want to read that book because I want to see how bad was this protagonist that, this guy hated him, how bad was the plot? Well, the plot, if you get a review that said the plot didn't make any sense, okay, well, maybe he didn't understand what you were writing. Somebody else will read that and say, I want to read it. I want to see for myself. What did it make sense? It sounds like a straight up story. Why would the guy be so confused? So you could take a bad review sometimes could bring you more readers because of the fact that they want to see what the guy didn't like about the story and would they feel the same? So,
yeah.
Well,
as a reviewer, go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I was saying, like, as a consumer and a reader and a reviewer, I always go and look, like, even if I'm just buying something, I don't know, on Amazon, I go and look at all the bad reviews first before. Like, that's how I make my judgment if I want to buy it. Because if some of the bad reviews are just like, even if it's a book, if it's just like, oh, this says that it's a romance and it's not, and it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. Or like the grammar in this book was bad. Okay, well, I can oversee that. Like, that doesn't matter. Or, I thought this was going to be a thriller book. It turns out it's not. And it's like, okay, you just didn't research the genre kind of thing. I can get all like over those. But if it's something like there's plot holes and stuff, then it's like, well, maybe, but I'll make a judgment because that's the first thing I go to. I don't go read all the good reviews. I go and read all the bad reviews and then see like how many bad reviews are versus good ones. And then I'll be like, okay, this is like I don't know, the collection of, or the summary of what the bad reviews were, like they all have in common. And then I'll go read like the latest review and see like what the difference is. And then I make like my decision. But I don't know, maybe I'm weird, but I go and read all the bad reviews. Cause sometimes, because if you're reviewing things, you tend to only leave a review if it's bad, like I don't like on a product, so that's why I always go read them first.
Well, that's why you'll see a lot more bad reviews than you will see good. Because if somebody liked the story, they're not going to say, unless they start liking you as the author, then they'll start leaving you good reviews. But you might get a couple of good reviews if people find your story exceptionally well. Then you might get a couple. But you're going to get a lot more bad reviews because people like to complain, first off. And, but what I really look at when I look at a review is I don't want the reviewer to tell me the story. I want people to tell me what the story felt like to them, how they reacted to the story. I don't want you to tell me what the story is. I don't want you to, because I can read the story myself. I want to read the story myself. I don't want you to give away the story. You can tell me what the plot is or what the theme is. The guy, he goes off into the mountain, he's trying to escape life. He finds out that, life follows him to the mountains, that kind of thing, fine. Don't tell me everything that happens. Don't tell me, how the guy lost his girlfriend and now he, found another girl and he's about to lose her too and all this kind. Yeah, don't tell me that. That to me is not a review. That to me is just you trying to tell me the story. Review the story, tell me what you think about the story. Tell me what you think about the writing. I don't like bad grammar. I'm terrible at grammar, and I can see it when other people write it badly. So I do not really like bad grammar. I don't like plot holes. Like you say, that would get me. If someone writes a story and they write in the circle or they write a plot hole to where they just either throw in an ending that did not fit the story, or they went off on a tangent and never came back to it, or they contradict themselves. And that's the worst thing that to me that an author can do. You contradict yourself. I still have problems with Star Wars.
Oh.
and we are way, way down that rabbit hole. But, I still have problems with Star Wars. And I heard something very funny the other day. They was asking the director or something about Star Wars. And they said, there's that scene when Darth Vader is about to blow up Luke Skywalker's ship. He's flying into, you see him, he got him locked in on the target. He fired a couple of shots, and then the Millennium Falcon shoots him and he go flying off. So what happened to his shots that he fired at, what's that? And that's what they asked him. They asked him at a Star Wars. So what happened to the shots that he fired at Luke? And he said, well, you can go look it up on gogetyourselfalife.com.
No.
The director said. And then the director came back later and said, I was sorry I made that comment.
Yeah, I bet.
And there were plot holes. Sometimes there are plot holes and everything. And sometimes you just can't fix them. And you just got to spackle over the plot hole and just go on with your story. Because you figured out, you know what? There's no way to fix that story. So I'm just going to have to live with it. And I go on from there. Because I gather from what the guy was saying, and I thought about that. Oh, yeah. When I seen the scene, I said, oh, yeah, he did actually fire on him. So how come Luke isn't dead? How did he manage to get his shot off?
True.
And it's like, okay. And yeah, you don't go back and tell that. You don't go back and say, well, because he had the force, his aim was off and, blah, blah, blah. You could go back and justify it somehow, but it's better just to let it go.
Yeah. No, I could see that. I could see that for sure. But speaking of plot holes and things like that, we don't want to leave any plot holes because this is the last episode of this season. So when can we expect to see readers and writers come back for the next season?
Late in the fall, coming into the winter. We'll do a winter season this time. the seasons have shifted sometime because of the workload that we have.
Right.
So we're coming up to the fall now. We're going to be putting out some books this fall for the fall season. We have Christmas and all that kind of stuff coming up. So you probably won't see us back for a couple of weeks. I would say probably what, 2 months, 3 months, Athena?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess you could look for us around December, maybe January, when the new season come up. Another 13 weeks, another 13 episodes.
Yeah.
And
close to the new year. I like it. RockHill has some exciting new books coming out and just exciting things happening. So I'm grateful to be a part of it and I can't wait. But you guys have been listening to Readers and Writers and we're signing off for this season, but we'll catch you all next season. Bye, everybody.